Hello everyone! One of the biggest tournaments of the new year has just started. It is Tata Steel 2025 in Wijk. A great tournament, 14 participants. Actually, I already recorded video before. Right here you can see somewhere the link to it about main intrigues of this tournament or like main predictions, who can win and stuff like that. And in today's video I'm gonna analyze one of the top level, games. Game number one in this round number one is a game between Gukesh and Anish Giri. Gukesh, who recently became the world champion, winning in the match against Ding, and this is his first classical tournament after becoming the player number one and world champion. And sorry, by the way, if I'm glowing a little bit or if I'm a little bit too quiet, because it's already 12 a.m. Trying my best to record the video, so don't be too harsh on me. So, the round number one, it's a game between Gukesh and Giri. As I said, there were a lot of another interesting games. For example, some, I don't know, bloody massacre between Abdusatorov, who played black, versus Prognanatha. But in this video, there will be also only one game, which I think is the most interesting and the best one. And everything started with knight f3, knight f6, g3. Actually, like that, Gukesh already played in the match against Ding, so yeah, not the first time it happens, but after d5, bishop g2, Giri plays c5, very solid line, kind of forcing White to transpose to Catalan, which again happened in the match between Gukesh and Ding, and yeah, Giri plays very fast, and it's like Giri choosing like the most solid option. Right here, like there is a very famous endgame after dc. For example, after dc, queen d1, rook d1, bishop takes c5, knight b2, huge number of games was played here. Many top players tried this line, but Gukesh choosing another promising line, which is queen a4. Honestly speaking, right here, I don't know where White has an advantage in this line, not even approximate, and it's one of the best weapons in my opinion if you want to make a draw against the Catalan. Of course, it implies knowing a lot of theory, which I'm pretty sure Giri does know, as we will see later on. Bishop d7 was played just to avoid any pin right here, because knight d5 was a really nasty hit, and for example, if you wonder, okay, why can't we eat the pawn? Because it can be very dangerous, and let's say right now there is a knight d4 move, and for example after that bishop c6 is the threat, and there might be potentially the fork. So bishop d7 was played, trying to prevent that. dc, one of the moves. Sometimes people will go queen c4. There are also several ways how to continue for black over there, but Gukesh choose, pretty interesting option. And right here, black could choose from two moves, bishop c5 and knight a5. Knight a5 has a little bit more fighting spirit in my opinion, but bishop c5 is also quite solid. Queen c4, bishop e7, Anish doesn't take any time, he plays like all the moves instantly. Gukesh so far also trying to keep the pace. He plays e4, which is one of the main moves, rook d1 as well. Has bigger number of games, but it's basically a transposition. And right here, rook c8, and that's the moment, I believe, where, Gukesh thought a little bit. Idea is that rook c8 looks intimidating because there is a discovered attack potentially. Knight can jump somewhere, in fact, it cannot really jump somewhere with a huge threat. But yeah, it is an opportunity. And there is a choice to play rook d1 or to play queen e2. Honestly speaking, and many people played it, I like rook d1 a lot more. Probably Gukesh knows better what he wanted, because yeah, right here there is a nasty pressure, it's not so easy to handle it, we always have some threats. If knight e5 we can run away, and then we will have a pressure on the d file. One of the best moves, by the way, right here, knight g4, which looks kinda interesting with an idea that after, let's say, knight e5, people tried right here queen e2 and queen b3. In the game Lekon Liam against So, it was played queen b3 and White won, so that's probably the best attempt. And right here it looks like White kind of have some advantage, probably, yeah. It's equal according to the engine, but at least like to my first glance, it looks like white might have something. Instead, Gukesh plays queen e2, in my opinion, less ambitious way, and right here, Giri instantly throws bishop c5 move, which has never been played before, and you can say, wow, Anish, what a preparation, but it's like the first line of Stockfish 17, so no surprise. Idea, as I understand, later to play knight e4, and after knight takes d4, bishop takes d4. And that's a moment where Gukesh started thinking, and he spent 35 minutes. I don't know, not a record, keep in mind how much time they spent during their match, but still, it's quite a lot. There are like many options, because bishop c5 develops a bishop who wasn't doing anything. In the game, bishop g5 was played, trying to use this opportunity to create a pin. What are other options? Bishop f4 looks very promising, because right here there is a hole on d6, we can potentially play rook d1 and try to infiltrate there. Probably Gukesh didn't like something over here, because yeah, the main line is something like queen b6, rook d1, black wanna insist on knight d4, and somewhere, somehow right here, position probably will be equal, but I mean, we can try to pretend that we have something with white. Also, another option can be e5, which looks more promising, but facing Anish Giri and playing such a responsible move in the position, even if you are a FIDE world champion, kinda tricky. I mean, white has some weird and interesting moves like knight g4, creating some strats, but it's not far away from equality. But Gukesh decided to create some rock and roll game, really mess everything up, because after bishop g5, Giri played h6, kind of provoking him to take, and then black would have lovely position with the bishop pair. Out of nowhere, I'm pretty sure like nobody really expected it, but Gukesh plays bishop h4, and any player like even with 1000 rating probably would notice that, okay, where this bishop is going, because we can, let's say, play just g5, and after g5 the bishop is just trapped. And Giri started thinking for a while. How much time did he spend? Like, I mean, less than 30 minutes, and he dared to play it, because I mean, seeing how much time Gukesh spent right here, probably it wasn't a prep, maybe he mixed it up with something, maybe it was a prep, but like, I don't believe it, but maybe I know nothing, who knows. And after g5, black actually has an advantage, and it's quite difficult to play for white, but Gukesh has a pretty concrete idea, although like, I wouldn't play it myself, because I don't like giving up material, plus it's the first round, plus you play against such a strong player as Anish Giri, and we will see later how brilliant Anish really played this game, how accurate he was, but here, I mean, fight begins. It's like, I mean, like some boxing match when everybody hits the face one after another, and it's like very interesting battle. Right now, e5 is the threat. The pin is very nasty, therefore Anish plays e5, also making sure that d4 is an outpost. Although white also has knight d5 move, but in the game it didn't happen, because I believe that knight d4 could be painful, but yeah. In the game, queen d2 was played, trying to create a cheap threat, winning the piece, if you wonder. Bishop e7 was played to protect the knight so that the queen defended it. Bishop h6, I guess this all was calculated, and this was the Gukesh idea, so he didn't just sacrifice a piece for nothing, he wanna win an exchange, because if we be very greedy, then there is a mating threat, and it's very hard to stop it, so rook e8 is not an option, and Anish plays king h7, preventing the mating threat, because right now we have like rook g8 and stuff like this, and different other moves, knight e8, blah blah blah. I mean, I guess rook g8 would be sufficient. Bishop takes f8, and right here there was important like moment, who to take with bishop or queen. You might argue and say that right now, after taking the piece, black has knight and bishop for rook and 2 pawns, and mathematics works for white, because rook and 2 pawns 7, 2 minor pieces 6, but in reality 2 pieces in the middle game when queens are on the board, when there are attacking resources, are way better than rook and the pawn, and sometimes even rooks and 2 pawns, because right here white cannot create passed pawns, and attack is more likely to happen. Therefore, that's why Anish's position is better. If it was an endgame, it wouldn't be that obvious, but with 2 pieces, like almost always, it's easier to play, unless there are some like passed pawns or it's an endgame. And right here, White has like later some ideas like f4, like some other moves, and it was better to play Queen f8, killing both targets. First of all, getting rid of the pin over here, and secondly, after f4, we not damage somehow. We even have some like bishop c5 check, then we can go queen h6, then we pin White, then we have knight g4, and that looks great. Instead, Anish played bishop f8. I believe there were reasons in his calculations, but I don't know, I would play queen f8 9 times out of 10 because it looks just, to my eye, a little bit more pleasant. Right here, f4 was played, so Gukesh tries to push with his pawns because he kind of stronger, but he has 4 versus 2 on the king side. Rook d1 was also kind of possible right here to create some pressure, but yeah, like Gukesh decides why not to create pressure. Right here, Giri plays bishop e6, offering a queen trade, because yeah, then he hopes that he can try to infiltrate, attack, plus the bishop on d7 doing nothing. Gukesh plays knight d5, which is one of the strongest moves, centralizing the knight, and right now taking is scary because then another pawn on e5 might hang. And right here, Giri plays the first move according to the engine, and actually engine on low depths doesn't see it. He plays knight b4, which is a great move because it first prepares a rook c2, and secondly attacks the knight in the center, trying to help us to win the pawn. And why we cannot take it? If you attentive enough, then queen is hanging, so it's not possible. So amazing move, like really like outstanding performance by Giri so far. After fe, he also plays incredible move, knight g4. Look at his pieces, how well they coordinated, how they complement each other very well. Rook c2 is a threat, bishop c5 is a threat, knight here, knight there. All of them are working together as a team. Rook d1 was played, and right here, okay, what does Indian Grandmaster want? He wants to attack the queen and play knight f6 most likely. Therefore, perfect prophylaxis, king h8. Right now there will be no check. The move might look odd, but that's just a prophylaxis. Right now, king h1 was played, Gukesh playing prophylactically, which was an inaccuracy, but it's hard to understand it in the moment because the position is very dynamic, everything is happening over there, and let's say queen f4 was better, instantly creating pressure of some discovered attack, and after some bishop h6, queen f3, knight going back because knight was hanging already, h3, knight e5, queen h5, queen g5, black still has better position, but I mean it's not that terrible for white and there are some chances to stay alive. Instead, what happened in the game, king h1, rook comes to c2, instantly improving the position of black, queen goes to f4, and here comes knight e5, great move, and you would be amazed what the point of it, because it looks absolutely dumb. After ed, pawns undoubled, this is like Russian power, e6, everything like that. But here comes just this crushing bishop d5 move. And the idea after bishop takes d5 is that after rook d5, queen takes d5, sacrificing the queen. And after bishop d5, rook h2, king g1, bishop c5, it's not a mate, but everything will be lost, and the game will be lost for white as well. The best move in this position, rook f3, which is like just significantly worse. Instead, Gukesh, look at his time, he has 38 seconds, but he plays queen f3. Maybe he saw it from the distance, but it's like great move, trying to retain the pressure, because anyway knight cannot move due to the fact that the queen is hanging. And that's his idea. And right here, Giri makes some sort of mistake, because the best move was continue sacrifice madness. Rook takes g2, queen g2, knight e3, simplifying the position, and after queen e2, knight f1, let's say queen f1, it looks like we will win the knight, which is true, but then the king will regret everything because he will be almost mated, and it's not a good position, because bishop pair versus rook with some pawns, it's almost always disaster, because bishop pair just unstoppable force, that's just too strong, and taking ed also doesn't make the situation any better. Probably something didn't fit in Giri's mind, which I understand, because position is super complex, and it's like, it's easy to analyze after the game to figure out what's the mistake, but when you have 10 minutes on the clock, and it's such sharp game against the world champion, it's like not the easy decision to make. But he also plays very good move, queen b6, spending 6 minutes trying to prepare knight f2. In the game ed and rook f2. Idea is that right now if takes we just like win the rook and in general have absolutely winning position. Knight f2 wasn't working that well because it was possible to sacrifice, give a check and take the bishop. And after that, queen goes to c3, and here was the moment of the truth, the moment where Giri could have won the game. He needed just to play bishop f5. You need to have like big balls, not to be afraid of this check, but the idea is like also insane. After bishop g7, white can play ef, sacrificing the queen once again. Keep in mind that another pawn can become a queen. And after king h7, black's position is almost winning, because all the attacks are reflected and white's king actually in more dangerous position than black's. Plus bishop e4 some way is a threat, so this is like pretty difficult. Bishop e4 after some sacrifice, stuff like this. Instead, Giri plays bishop b4, already wasting all his time. He probably didn't like something after bishop f5. Gukesh plays only queen c1 move with an idea to activate the queen. Bishop goes to f5, saving the bishop. Queen comes to g5, attacking. And right here, bishop f8, another good move because it kind of defends against any checks and makes sure that everything is controlled. Right here, look at the time of both players, 34 seconds versus 42. As I understand, after 40's move there will be increment, and right now it's a move number 31, so 10 more moves to go. It's like, intrigue is huge, everything is like happening, this like battle, I don't know, like some marathon, and the last seconds, two players just run into the finish line and who will be ahead. Right here, two checks we have, queen h5 and queen h4. You can stop the video and figure out which one makes a draw, which one does not, or equalizes, let's say, not make a draw, because it doesn't definitely make a draw. In the game, queen h4 was played with 3 seconds on the clock. Gukesh plays, and he chose poorly, unfortunately. Queen h5 was better. Why? Because after this move, here comes e6, and the queen right here attacks this pawn, which is important. And after capture, we have h3, and already these checks are not dangerous. However, when we play queen h4, e6 already doesn't make a lot of sense, because this pawn is not attacked, and there are some like sacrifices, things like that. Instead, Giri doesn't see it, he plays bishop h6 quite quickly. Gukesh just plays rook e1 because he understands that knight f2 is not working for now, because if, let's say, take, knight f2, rook f2, queen takes f2, there is a queen h6 check, winning the piece. Queen b2, pretty good move because it creates a pressure. H3, another good move. And here comes bishop e4. Actually, h3 wasn't a good move, if I remember correctly. Yeah, h3 was actually the final mistake. Sorry, my bad, I'm already malfunctioning. The best move right here was apparently rook f2, because queen left the square. Therefore, like, if we imagine this position, somehow, like, I don't know, let's say with black we play some move, white takes. Right here you can know this position from a well-known pattern as a smothered mate, because right here there is a smothered mate. But in this position, if white takes rook f2, knight f2, the queen is already not on this diagonal, therefore there is no way to use it, and smothered mate doesn't work, and the bishop is hanging. And queen f2 also doesn't do that much damage, but h3 very natural move, and Giri's move bishop e4 with 3 seconds on the clock is just super impressive. And the idea is that if, let's say, you take the bishop, then after rook h2, king g1, rook h1, and queen h2 comes the mate, and this is it. So he kinda want to distract the bishop from defending second rank, infiltrate, and mate. I believe rook f1 also works. And queen h2, so it doesn't really matter. And if, let's say, like rook e4, then also rook f1, bishop f1, and queen h2. Gukesh plays the only move available, which is rook takes f2, knight f2, king g1, and here is the moment, 41 seconds, and this is like critical moment. You or win or lose. That's like the most dramatic scene ever, because usually, like in chess, you can easily make a draw, but right here you can either win or lose. No draw, not possible, just like no way. And if it was like some task or some puzzle rush, I'm pretty sure Giri would find the move like 99%. But when you play such intense game, finding so many great moves, when you like playing in the time trouble for past, like, I don't know, 5-10 moves with incredible tension, it's very hard to make the right decision. And as you can notice, queen looks here, bishop looks here, bishop is hanging. And if we connect all the dots, like in some like crazy memes pictures, then we can figure out that knight g4 is the right option. And try now, if let's say bishop takes, hello there, this is mate, there is no way to dodge it. If let's say like takes and mate, this check doesn't do anything absolutely, but rook e4 was the challenging move, and probably right here what Giri overlooked. He anyway needed to go there, just go all in for all the money and go here, because after queen f2, let's say king h1, there is no check and the king is safe, but here comes queen b6. From this angle, very unexpectedly, idea is that king f1, this is very easy mate. And if king goes to h1, right now there is no smothered mate, but here comes queen b1, and compared to the previous position when the king was on g1, bishop just cannot go to f1. And this is mate. I mean, it's possible to continue fighting, giving up all the pieces, but this is mate. So Giri playing such amazing game, like one step away from the victory, loses, because he played queen b6, trying to go for the smothered discover check idea, and here comes just super simple queen f6. And after the trade, that's it. Like, material is slightly better for Gukesh, but practically speaking it's lost because the passed d pawn finishes the deal. There is no way to stop it. What a crazy beginning of such tournament. I mean, this round was insane. A lot of other games, as I said, but this game, like, really title game, like, amazing tension. Very sad for Giri. If he continues playing the tournament like that, I'm pretty sure he will perform very well, because usually in Wijk in his like local tournament, because he lives in Netherlands, he plays very well, although last year he didn't perform that well. He can show great results, and Gukesh, I hope he will like slow down a little bit, because right here he played too aggressively against such good player as Anish, and really was like one step away from winning. But anyway, great game. I hope all the rounds will be like that. What do you think about the game? What was the most memorable game for you right here? Comment down below what you think. Like and subscribe if you liked this video, and stay tuned in for other episodes. Bye.